It's a pleasure to be here. Today, I want to talk to you about art and wanted to tell you and ask you, do you know that this year alone, $557 billion were exchanged buying and selling art? So what does this say? Many years ago, when I started collecting, it was a very small group of people that were buying art. By small, I mean compared to today. People were not buying art to make money from it. People were buying art out of passion, out of going places and being friends with artists. And whoever would buy a work of art or more than their walls could handle was called a little bit crazy. So by doing this and being passionate about it, I started going to different artist studios. I started learning in the street, not from books, of course from books, but in the streets, asking the artists what was going on, what were the problems that they were trying to solve by doing their art. And every time I realized that how important it is to buy art from one's generation. And why is that? Because when you buy art from your generation, and people generally don't tell you that, they tell you to buy certain artists that is in demand or it's a trend. But when you buy an artist that is in demand, there's many things that happen. First, that the price of the art is still in a primary market. It's still low. Second, it's an artist that is living the same history and culture and the same problems that we're all living. So you can relate mentally with this person. And third, if you're really interested, artists really like somebody to go and tell them what is happening with their art. Like a year ago, somebody introduced me to an artist in Uruguay, and I really liked it because I thought it was something very different. And I bought his work, very small amount. And after 6 months, I called him and I asked him, what are you doing now? And to my sad surprise, he was doing the same thing, cookie cutter. So I told him, Guillermo, if you keep doing this, your career is not gonna go up. And one of the things of like people like me that are patrons for the art, that really care about art and institutions, is that pushing them and helping the artists see the things that they cannot see. Of course, they have a way of expressing themselves that we admire. They can say things with their hands that we don't know how to express. But they need the guidance that we have after so many decades of experience. So what I told him was, why don't you start doing sculpture? And he said, I never did sculpture. And I said, okay, push yourself. Just do it. Just try. And long story short, this is a year and a half ago. This year, he presented an Art Basel, and he sold to Storm King Center in North New York. And he has 2 residences, one in New York and one here in Miami. So not only his prices went up, but his recognition, museums bought it, people start liking his work more and asking about his work. One of the things that people won't tell you in a gallery is that there's a waiting list in general for certain works of art. And of course, people cannot tell you because it's not diplomatic to tell you this, but let's say that an artist is able to do 12 works a year, and there's 30 people, 100 people nowadays that can buy this work, be it 100, be it $1 million. So who do you think they're going to sell it to? They're going to sell it to somebody that has ties to a museum, that is going to gift it to a museum, or that has an institution where people are going to go and the art is going to be seen. I have served in many museum boards. I've been in the Tate Modern in London for 20 years. I've been in MoMA. I've been in MoCA, Miami for 18 years. I've been in the BAS and I've been in PAM here in Miami. After the pandemic happened, I decided to concentrate and do other kind of things. But in all those years of experience, I was very lucky to see that as much as they thought that they needed me or my opinion, I was constantly learning from the way that other collectors buy and what is it that makes them tick. And each museum board took us to different locations, took us to LA, to Japan, to all over the world to go to artist studios and be able to talk to them and try to understand why they're doing what they're doing. So what makes a work of art special? In general, a work of art is special not only for the beauty, because many things can be beautiful, but it could be decoration. In general, a work of art gets value and gets recognized by museums or institutions or foundations when it speaks about the social problems. It speaks about the torment that the society is living. Let's put an example. Before 2020, most museums did not have artists of color. And after 2020, that became outrageous. So people went running to buy artists of color and prices went up. Now, by being in the Tate, and this is something also nobody tells you, there's no SEC there telling you this you cannot do. So we bought artists of color decades ago. So by the time everybody was buying, the general public, we were selling the artists of color. A museum has to have one piece of every representative sector in society, has to speak about each problem the society has. Why? Because an institution like a museum is a place where people go on a Sunday and families want to teach their kids culture and themselves. And this is the way a country grows. A country without education would not thrive. The other way that people collect is building a foundation. And you know why? People build a foundation because there's a little secret there. If you build a foundation, you buy art without paying taxes, and you open a space, you have all your art exposed, you charge a little to nothing entry, you have a restaurant, and you show the art to everybody. And this allows families to pass from generation to generation their art without paying taxes in any way. So this is a little way that people found that they can escape the tax authorities. So how to buy art? When you go and buy art, the first thing one is attracted to is usually what I would tell you, do not go and buy. Study the work, study the artist, study why the artist is doing what they're doing. Check if you connect with the artist. Check if there's a reason why they're doing that and what he was doing a year ago. And if the artist is evolving, if you see that your artist is evolving and go to different steps in her evolution, then it's a good artist to invest in. And why do I say invest? Before we didn't talk of art as an investment, but nowadays with a number that I gave you, a lot of people come to me and tell me, I want to invest art. And they do not ask what to buy, or they say, what do you want to buy? What do you connect with? What is it that you want to do? I just want to buy and sell it in 10 years. So there's art also for that. But the most interesting thing for me about art is that you can purchase it, you can have it in your house, you can enjoy it, and then you can still sell it and make money on it. There's one more factor that art gave me, which I had no idea it was going to happen. And it was that when I started being in museum boards, I got to meet like-minded people, people that were curious, people that were sensible, people that were caring about feelings and why did people do certain kind of things. And this created a special bonding and a group, and it's a little bit of a status group that nobody invented, but it happens because in that way, every time I would go to London, there was a dinner somewhere. I would go to Paris, there was another dinner there. I got to go in every city to many, many collectors' homes in Japan. I got to meet wonderful people. And instead of going to a city just to see the spaces, I got to sit at people's living rooms, talk to them, make amazing friends. So there's many reasons why people are jumping in this wagon today, but there's many things that one has to be very curious about. Never buy for one only gallery, because that's the only artists that they're going to have. They won't show you other kinds of artists. Do your homework, ask people, don't be shy. You have to ask people. If you, even in Art Basel, I tell people, go ask them. That's why the person is there. Ask everything about the artist. Ask to go to their studios. Ask the artist why they're doing that. And if you connect, you will never regret having that piece of art in your house.